Ernestine and Pimentel. Santos Pimentel.
And Santos was your maiden name. Santos was your maiden
Yes,
name?
Santos was my maiden name. Yes.
And where were you born?
11/11/27.
And you were born in Milpitas?
In Milpitas.
On Main Street?
On Main Street, close to where Annie L's is here. We're over here, where we live. Over here is Annie L's, and then 2 doors there is where I was born. And that house was taken, all those houses were taken to the back. That's all.
And what was your mom and dad, what was their name?
Camarillo. Cervantes, Camarillo, Murillo, and Santos.
Mm-hmm. And your father's name was?
Santos.
Santos, and his last, excuse me, was that his first name?
My dad was John.
John.
One.
And your mom?
Jenny.
And how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Well, let's see, I have 2 brothers, and there's 3 sisters, and 2 brothers.
And where are you in the kids? Are you the oldest, the youngest, in between?
My brother is the oldest, then comes my sister, then myself, and my brother. And the little girl. She died when she was 7 years old.
And where did your parents come from?
La Piedad, Michoacan.
Michoacan.
I never...
They were both from there?
Pardon me?
They were both from La Piedad, Michoacan?
Yeah.
And did they know each other? Did they come already as adults or as kids?
No, my mom married young, and so what they did is they came... Cervantes was already here, okay. So now they're coming to Chicago because now my grandfather knew everything about animals and so forth and so on. So they got a job there doing the things for animals, killing or whatever they did. But he was already hurting, his knee was hurting. So he had been kicked by one of his horses. So then they couldn't stay anymore. He said, I gotta go home. I want to die there. So that's what happened. He went back. They didn't have, he didn't go in time for his knee. So it cut his knee, and he died of sadness. By that time, my grandmother says, we're leaving, we're going to...
And who's in this picture?
My mom, Ann Pimentel, my dad in the middle, Louis Pimentel, and my aunt, Josephine Guerrero.
Well, they were all young because they got married young.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know that they had the ranch. My mom was driving, and they came here when they were young. All I can say. They had the ranches there that they worked, they owned, and that was a thing. Pruning trees.
Where was the ranch they owned?
Pardon me?
Where was the ranch that they owned?
Well, they're right on, let's say, out of Milpitas going to Alviso. The Milpitas-Alviso Road in that area. It used to flood all the time. But my dad and my godfather, they had the ranch here, and there was Alviso, and every year it would flood, and it would not come to where they lived and all. But, and so that where we lived. But way back when they were young, it was a port, and so it was a Chinese man that ran it, and so everybody went to work for this Chinese man, because the port was there, and he would have all these vegetables or whatever, and then the boat would go to San Francisco, to Oakland, whatever, and that's the way this man did his thing, and then that's where my family were there. They still have the name there. The name of the where they were. The name is still there. In
Yes.
fact, I took pictures. I have wanted my aunt to see them, and I sent them to her, but she looked at them and she put them. But I have all those pictures that I took,
Good.
you know, and so then we also have the pictures that Louis had of the Chinaman there, and so he's the one that ran the whole thing. And that was, Louis liked to save things like that. So I put them away. I wanted to see if I could find them so you could see them. But I'd have to go right
Oh,
through
next time.
Next time I'll find them. Because it's even the people from Milpitas Post, whatever, for them to see this, it's quite something, because it has the picture of the Chinaman that owned all that. It fed all those families from Milpitas and all. And then this is what they would do. Now, my uncle Joe was very handsome. He was over 6 feet, he was a tall man, nice looking. And there weren't that many men. So now they would have a truck, and they would be picking up people to go to work at the cannery. So then my aunt told me, and they all liked my uncle, and he was handsome, you know, tall, over 6 feet, and so that's the way they picked up, blah blah blah, and so forth and so on. Now my aunt had not started work. Auntie Jo had not started, but she says, you know, I can work for a summertime and make good money. So she says, you know, I like to get a job here so that I can buy my clothes. That's what we did. And okay, so they gave her the job. So then she started working in the cannery. Now, like I told you, everywhere it was trees. No, my godfather had the tree over here, the orchard and so forth. But he and Silvera would always, they would always find out and see what they could mend, get fruit together like, and make it bigger or whatever. So he and Silvera made the red pear.
Grafting.
They grafted, that's what you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he's facing east. It's facing, and that tree was the most beautiful tree. They were this big, beautiful. And then he loved doing his place there. He had it just perfect. I can see the men, we're passing through, Lou and I passed through, and I see the men, the Mexican men, helping, picking and all. But his red tree is there, and he and Silvera did that. We have a red tree. We have a green tree. And I thought that was great, that we have that.
Who planted the trees here?
Louis planted. He did everything. He loved trees. We have all kinds of trees. We have Fuji apple. We have the green apple. We have a lemon tree, an orange tree, and we have the green tree. That's where, way down, that always gives so much.
Green pear.
That green pear. Now all those beautiful trees that we have, we give all that fruit to people that enjoy it. Because especially the apple tree, that's pretty beautiful.
Where did you go to school?
Well, we all went to Milpitas school. Now, when we were at the ranch, my mom didn't want to back and forth. So my mom said, we're going to move to Milpitas. She was had it with the chickens and this and that and the rabbits, blah, blah, blah.
She
They
actually
didn't
said
suffer.
she moved to San Jose, you mean? You left Milpitas.
No. We're still in Milpitas right now.
Right.
Okay. We're still in Milpitas, and we're going to start, we're in school. My mom's taking us back and forth to school, back and forth. She was tired of the ranch. She wanted to be a city girl. So now we moved. We have the big house there next to the church, Portuguese Hall. And my grandmother is there also. My grandmother has the front and we have the back, and the bathrooms are here and all. Enough for all of us. And my mom always drove. She always had her car. So that time, my dad didn't want my mom to drive the car. But what she did is she got it somehow. She had a key made. So now we're all in the car. My dad is pruning, and we're going like this to him. But my mom did things like that. Nothing would stop Mom. She was just it.
So she was driving.
Baby.
She was driving. You're
Always.
saying you're waving at, she's waving at her husband, at your dad, and she's driving.
Yes.
My dad drove all the time. My mom drove also. But he didn't want my mom to take the car. So she had a key made. Now we're in the car. My dad is pruning, and my mom is toot toot, and we're waving like that to him.
So she had her own key.
Always.
Okay.
Nothing would stop Mom. Cervantes suits. That was it.
Can we talk about how your father was denied to buy land where the Ford plant was because he was Mexican?
Mm-hmm.
The guy was from Grenada. Could you talk about that guy?
We'll talk about right now.
Okay.
Okay, Grenada was that right now. I can't remember his name. Now he was black, but he knew Portuguese because we said that he came with his parents, whatever. So he knew Portuguese or whatever, and he learned how to speak Spanish because he was nosy. He wanted everybody to see what you're doing and all. He was always knowing what's going on. Now,
Town.
the pork plant was there. But before that, there was land. We didn't know the pork plant was just there. Now my dad said to the guy, black guy, do you think they want, how much do you think they want for that house? Oh, they don't sell to Mexicans. No. Huh? Really? Oh, yes. That's how come my dad didn't get that property there, because he always had the money. He always knew how to handle his money, and that's the way he was. And a lot of money at that time, people worked out on the pruning and so forth. That was it. Or you own an orchard, which is very few. But anyway, that's a come way. Well, my dad worked hard, never on assistance. He still, toward the end, he was still pruning his tree. He fell. My mom says, you can't do that anymore. And he got blind. And it just happened to
Got diabetes.
Got his diabetes and his eyesight. One eye, I took him to the doctor. One eye will go blind, next year the other. So we knew it was happening. My mom always had his meal. They had people come in, and his plate was like this. You turn it turquoise and that he knew how to eat. Made sure that everything was just tipped up. It wasn't on his clothes or whatever.
And then what happened?
Then, first with one leg, it's diabetic. Even though he was on food and so forth, then the next time was the other leg. He never did say, I'm hurting or anything. He never was angry at all. The lady would come, put him on the walker, and pick him around every day, all the way around the beautiful park that we have there. I mean, big. And so we had a lady take care of him because my mom had passed. And I said, now, we're going to bring you the food, but you have to tell me what you need for him. I don't want him to have this, I don't want him to have that, and so forth. Well, the bottom line was, somehow or other, we were almost going home, and Tony says, something's wrong with Dad. Take him. He should have said, Ann, something's wrong with my dad, let's take him together. They were always afraid. They would never be upfront. So I said, Louis, we have to take my dad to the hospital. You have to pick him up and blah, blah, blah. I called that man. He was a Oriental. And I said, my dad needs to go to the hospital today. I'm coming with him. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to open that door for my dad because he's sick, he's dying. You understand? Okay. So we took him there. It was getting late because we had been with Dad. We were getting tired, and then before you know it, then all the family all of them are there. And we didn't even say goodbye. I would just, because the next couple of days is going to be, you go here, you pray here, and so forth. But they paid for their lot. They had their money. We went to Oxnard to get their money because the other one didn't have money. Henry and I had, but the other one didn't have whatever. Went to Oxnard, got his mom, came back. We had already gone to Disneyland, but we're there. Let's go see it, come back, and there was 5 cents. After paying everything, you won't believe it, 5 cents left, or 10 cents. And I told them, I'm not going to write no letter for you, how much, whatever. We ate here, we ate there. There's 5 cents left, and if you want it, come and get it. So then, my dad paid for his things. And now we were there not too long ago. We were there to see my dad.
Yes.
Where?
One of the oldest cemeteries in San Jose is that Mission Santa Clara.
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh. That's where your husband is buried?
No.
That's where
you-
her parents are.
Oh, your
My
dad.
family. Mine is in Milpitas.
And Josephine.
Uh-huh.
Aunt Josephine is there. The whole family is my great-grandmother. They're all there.
And her sister.
And my little sister.
We just saw that grave just not long ago, a few weeks ago.
She did the most beautiful thing. Nobody would in the family is like her. We got all these poinsettias, little wreaths. We went to all the family where we have our family. There was this here, and then she had extra. We bought this for the babies. All the babies there, because my little sister is in she was the only one there, because we got her a big white, where you bury her
A headstone.
headstone. So Louise had poinsettia. Everybody had a poinsettia. Now, how many people like her, like this girl, would do that?
How did you get the information for all the graves where they are?
We knew where most of them were, but they found out where her sister was some years ago, and they tracked it down. They saw that her gravesite was cracked, and about 20 years ago, my two uncles and my mom chipped in and had the name. They had a new headstone put there. So I remembered where it was. It's in the children and infant area of that old cemetery. So the last time we went, I noted the year. So she passed away in 1939. She was only 7 years old.
A very pretty girl, beautiful little girl, but she couldn't talk or anything. And we took care of her. We didn't let her, like my mom would say, leave her be. We were there to the end with her. She's so pretty. And Mom was that way. She did what you did. All the flowers, we'd go every year to put flowers. We were taught that way.
Could you talk about what you did for when your sister passed, that you didn't have enough money for flowers? Could you say that story about the flowers?
Well, they're called, yeah, I know, okay, it's a tree.
Magnolia.
Magnolia, okay. Now, the town is small, okay, so now, right on downtown, before you go the road going to Obiso, there's a house there with a beautiful magnolia tree. Because it was still rural. So then I said, well, I want to ask Mrs., I knew her name, she was Portuguese. I said, you know, my little sister died and we needed some flowers to put there for her grave and all. Could I have some? You go right ahead. So I climbed the tree and I got all those and just brought them over, and my little sister had all those flowers.
Earlier you were talking about your dad and taking him to the hospital. What hospital was that?
And I was on 13th and First. That's the only hospital that was there. Well, okay, so now we come in, and that, whatever he was Indian. I told him, I'm coming now. You better have a place for him or else. So then we came, we put him there. Then it's Louis, we're going home. It's going to be 3 days and I'm exhausted, let's go home. Then as we're coming home, they're all there now. They're all there. We went, next day, it takes a couple of days to, the way we do. And that was it. They know where the place is. They hadn't gone.
But they all show up when he was there in the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they put oxygen on him, that's what you said, right?
Exactly. I said, I want him to have oxygen. I don't want him to gasp that he's dying. There's more people coming, and that's how I want it. My husband and I want it that way. You always have to say my husband, because they know that it's just not me. You know, he's the boss. So then we're going out and they're all there. Another day or two. It takes that long. You have this, then you've got to travel.
We had 7 family members die, so you can imagine she already knew the drill of how arduous the process of the funerals were. We had lost 7 people in
72.
In between like 2.5 years. So,
Well-
including her parents.